Oh, hiya loves, I'm back. It's me, Paul, aka One Box of Fudge, aka the Fudge Man. Oh yeah, oh yeah. And if you are watching my videos, then you might have already made your first batch of fudge. If not, this might be the first batch that you decide to make. Just a little bit about me. My name is Paul and I run One Box of Fudge, which is a fundraiser that I do in my spare time where I literally make homemade fudge and sell it, and all profits are donated to local charities and causes in my hometown of Gosport. This is my recipe book. This is the test copy I got of it. But it's available to buy on Amazon in paperback, hardback and Kindle. So all of the recipes that I'm making are from my recipe book. And today we are going to be making Amaretto infused cherry. So for this recipe, you will need 450 grams of golden caster sugar. You'll need 400 millilitres of double cream, 50 grams of unsalted butter, 15 grams of glucose syrup, 1 sachet of Maldon sea salt. That's what I use, loves, but what that means is a pinch of salt, about 5 grams worth, a sprinkle of salt. 15 grams of Madagascan vanilla and 100 grams of dried cherries soaked in 50 millilitres of amaretto. So if you have watched any of my videos, then you'll know that I soak the fruit that I'm going to use in a fudge that contains alcohol. I use these ginormous Kilner jars and I soak them, I infuse them for absolutely ages prior to me using them in a fudge. What I recommend is, obviously I do that because the sheer amount of fudge I make is a lot, which obviously you're not going to be making fudge in the quantity I am. So what I recommend is 100 grams of cherries. I use these. I absolutely swear by these. So these are Bulgarian Nuts premium brand, natural dried cherries from Bulgaria. I've tried and tested a load of cherries over the years, and these are the ones that I favour. They really infuse very well. They soak up all of the alcohol, really juicy, really big and yummy. And yeah, just perfect for the fudge. So I use them. I'd recommend measuring out 100 grams in a bowl and infusing them in your amaretto for at least 48 hours before doing the fudge. If you don't, then what's likely to happen is the fudge isn't going to set because there's too much liquid in it, or when you put it in, it's going to all disperse from the heat of the fudge. So that's what I'd recommend, loves. If you can do it in a Kilner jar, then do that. So yeah, we're going to make amaretto infused cherry today. So here we go. So for this, your 450 grams of caster sugar. Obviously get your pot on your scales and set it to 0 before you pour in any ingredients, because we want it to be as accurate as possible. Certain ingredients won't matter if they're not accurate, but others will. The sugar definitely will. The butter, not so much. So you need 50 grams of butter, which I always let warm up at room temperature before I use it, purely because it's just a lot quicker then to make your fudge if it's already warmed at room temperature. You need 400 millilitres of double cream. And basically for any traditional fudge that you're going to make, these are your key ingredients that you will use for every traditional fudge it's the same standard ingredients and the same amounts. And these amounts have been tweaked for the tools that I use, which you can learn exactly what I use in the second video in this playlist. And it's all been measured for the size tin I use. The size tin I use, so I use a 9-inch square tin because I can get 36 chunky pieces of fudge out of it. You might want to use a flatter tin so you get more but thinner pieces. This is a Maldon sea salt sachet, but what that really means is a pinch of salt. Or you might want to use a tin that's deeper, smaller. Whatever you want to use is fine, but then you can't guarantee it's going to set with the ingredients, you know, with the measurements that I've given you. So that's all I would say. And then lastly, you want 15 of glucose syrup. Again, not everyone uses glucose syrup, but if you don't use glucose syrup, what's going to happen is your fudge is going to be more grainy, and it is going to it's not going to give you the smooth texture. Now, because I was talking, I didn't put enough cream in there, and I've just noticed on the scale, so that's why I've just added a bit more cream in there, loves. So this is why I concentrate on what you're doing when you're measuring the ingredients. Do as I say, not as I do. That's what they say, isn't it? Because this is the really crucial part to getting the fudge right. So now we've got the ingredients. We're not going to put the cherries in yet, or the Madagascar vanilla. That's going to go in after. So we'll now go over to the stove and start cooking. So I have a gas hob in my kitchen, and I always do my fudge low and slow. So I do a low heat and I let it take its time, because if you do it high and quicker, you risk burning the fudge, and I just don't think it's as nice if you do it that way. I'm sure lots of people do, but I find that low and slow is always the best way. And this will take a few minutes before it starts to melt, and once it starts melting, we'll give it a stir, loves. Now, once you see that it starts bubbling away like that, that's when I start to give it a stir, loves. So now that's been gently stirred and all the ingredients are melted together, it's time for you to get your thermometer in that fudge, loves. Get it in there and you'll see it'll go probably above 50, but what we need is 116 degrees. Oh, it's absolutely bubbling away, loves, but don't be tempted to stir it. You've got to let it do its thing until it gets to 116. Eek! So while you're waiting for that, you can measure your Amaretto infused cherries. And what you want is 100 grams of this ready to go in your fudge. Now, these cherries are big. I'm not going to lie. You could chop them if you want to, but I don't chop them in this. I want people to look forward to whether they're going to have succulent cherry in their fudge or not. And if not, it still flavours the whole fudge anyway. So I want it to be an experience, a bit like when you're eating a bowl of muesli, loves, and the best part is the raisins. It's the same with Amaretto infused cherry fudge, loves. Are you going to get to pop a cherry in your mouth? Who knows? Guys, take your minds out of the gutter. You know I'm talking about actual cherries. Come on now. So it's just got to that exciting point now where it starts shifting up from 110. So it does sit at 110 for quite a while. And then all of a sudden, that red pointy thing, I don't actually know what it's called. If you know, put it in the comments for me. That red pointy arrow thing starts shifting. Can you see it's happening right before our eyes? But don't be tempted to take it off until it gets to 116. So you can see it ever so slowly but surely. See, now it's on 115. And you want it to just go past 115 before you take it off, and you allow it to cool for 6 minutes. You start getting a bit jittery when it gets to this stage and you think, take it off, take it off. Don't you dare, because I promise you it won't set properly. You can see it's shifting past the 15 now. But it needs to be a significant shift before you take it off. I feel like I should stop filming, but it's that close to needing to be taken off. I'm going to stop filming and it's going to tick over. Look at that absolutely gorgeous bubbling fudge. Obviously I've got an apron on which stops you from it splashing. There you go, that's all you need. Take it off now. And now you let it cool for exactly 6 minutes. Set your timer, loves, and we'll come back and we will add the rest of our ingredients and we will start stirring. So the 6 minutes is up and the fudge is just about 80 degrees. So it's time to set the 6 minute timer and start stirring, loves. Only with Amaretto infused cherry fudge, all you need to add is your cherries to the fudge. Which, by the way, obviously I've said I soak them in a glass jar, but it's measured into the glass jar. So for every 100 grams of cherries, I've soaked in 50 ml of Amaretto. And I don't bother using the branded Amaretto, which is called Di Serrano. I just use whatever I can get my hands on, because obviously I'm using a big quantity. And then for Madagascan vanilla bean paste, I use Dr. Oetker, just because I think it's absolutely delicious. But you can use, you know, other brands of vanilla paste. I use the Madagascan vanilla because there's something about the taste, loves. Don't know what it is. Like I say, you don't have to use the Madagascan, but it's worth it. It's a bit more expensive. It's about £4 for one of them from Morrie's, from the supermarket. But there's just something about it. The taste, it's worth the taste. You do a drizzle over the top. So it's about 15 grams. But again, I can do it by eye because I've been doing it for so long. Feel free to measure out the 15 grams if you want to, but really it's just a drizzle, and that drizzle vanilla just brings out the flavour of the cherries. So we stir for 6 minutes. Already it's starting to get thick and heavy, and it's glossy. And what you'll find is as well is that as the fudge starts to being ready, it will lose the gloss. So you'll know it gets heavy, loses the gloss, gets really thick. So I'll come back to you in 6 minutes and I'll show you what it looks like, and it will be ready to pour. Now again, loves, I'm at the 4-minute mark, and honest to God, you can feel it. You could literally turn around and guess how far into it you are, because all of a sudden it just gets so heavy. I mean, look at the guns in this video from the stirring. Look at how taut the muscles are, because it goes so heavy. Smells absolutely insane. And this is another fudge that sells by the ton all year round. In the first year when I started making it, I had to stop making it in May because it was too hot and humid and it wouldn't set. In the second year, I had to stop making it in June because it was too hot and humid. But since then, that's the 6-minute timer, so it's ready to pour. Since then, because I soak them for longer, I think I'm going to be all right this year. So I'm going to keep going and making it as long as I can this year, see what happens. So it's ready to pour. Now, because this has got the cherries in, this fudge is obviously thick, and wear your apron, or, you know, obviously don't do this sort of thing topless, loves, because you'll soon learn that it splashes you. There you go, your clean pot, as I always talk about, loves. And then I'll finish it off with a lovely swirly flourish. A swirly flourish, love. I'll show you what it looks like. There's my lovely swirly flourish, loves, on top. Looks absolutely beautiful, don't it? And there you have it, loves. So, as usual, I cover with one of my trusty old green pop-up food covers, which you can get from Amazon very cheaply. Obviously, because I make so much fudge, I have a huge abundance of them, and this fudge will set within 3 to 6 hours depending on the weather, humidity. Today it's 21 degrees, so it'll be more than 3 hours. However, by the weight of the fudge, it might not be. I'll be intrigued, because it felt very, very heavy, that fudge, which is a sign it's going to set properly. So it might set quite quick, actually. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed making Amaretto infused cherry fudge today with me, Paul, from One Box of Fudge, aka the Fudge Man. If you like, I love how that covers the F, the Fudge Man. If you like my videos, then please make sure you give it a like, a subscribe, share with all your friends, and I'll be back next time to teach you how to make another fudge out of my book, One Book of Fudge by Paul Lees. Go and buy your copy on Amazon, loves. All profits donated to local charities and causes. Have a good day. Oh, bye, you loves.